everybody for joining today's session. So my name is Juan Aranda. I'm a grant specialist. There are actually 5 of us grant specialists in 5 different areas throughout the country. And CCHD, many of you are very familiar with CCHD. CCHD is the Domestic Anti-Poverty program of the U.S. Catholic bishops. And in general terms, CCHD works with and helps low-income people, and this is very important, participate in decisions that affect their lives, families, and in general, their communities. And it also nurtures a solidarity between people living in poverty, their neighbors on a wider level, and CCHD, Catholic Campaign for Human Development, well, tells you also engages Catholics in the local and wider community to the issues that some of these communities are trying to address. Most of you know Fratelli Tutti, the newest or the latest encyclical by Pope Francis. In Fratelli Tutti, the Holy Father reminds us just how important this work that we are doing at the different levels. The Holy Father tells us it's an act of charity to assist someone suffering, but it's also an act of charity, even if you don't know that person, to work to change the social conditions that caused his or her suffering. CCHD, as I mentioned, the Domestic Anti-Poverty Program of the U.S. Catholic bishops. It's a blessing for CCHD to be able to say that we're celebrating our 50th anniversary, so 50 years since CCHD was founded. Now, in those 50 years, we've been supporting initiatives that empower families, immigrants, new mothers, the elderly, and those in need to become active in their local communities. The organizations supported by CCHD have obviously also been working in those 50 years to address the racial, economic disparities. And it's very important here, especially this session, because we've all read how these disparities have really been revealed, even more so because of the COVID-19 pandemic. So now more than ever, the work of CCHD, the work of its partners, the work of community, and I would also extend that to you folks that are on this session. The work is very important. So today we're going to hear from one of those groups that's being supported by CCHD. And this group is a community organization, and they are going to be discussing, and we're going to be learning about best practices from the leaders who've helped to transform their communities. And we're also going to brainstorm and discuss how we can stand in solidarity with our sisters and brothers in our own community. So in general terms, what can we take back to our own communities based on the discussion and the dialogue today. So this session, just to make sure that everybody is in the correct session, is the Grassroots Conversation on border worker justice, also migrant worker justice. And it's Border Workers United. And so we have guest speakers, Blanca Delgado and Nora Mata, who are going to be leading the conversation. So once again, gracias. Thank you everybody for participating today. And so I am going to turn it over to you, Blanca.
Hello, everyone. I'm Blanca Delgado, the Executive Director for Border Workers United. Can you guys hear me? Yes. I can't see the people when I have the PowerPoint on, so anybody can say yes to me?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Okay. Well, let's begin. And thank you so much for joining us. I hope we start these awesome conversations, so much needed conversations, for so many reasons. And while I'm starting to do the presentation, I would totally like to invite you guys to join in already on the conversations. We have Nora, who I'll give you a little moment so she can introduce herself. But you guys can start just making questions or comments on your chat box. Those of you that at the end, when we open up the mics, those of you that want to make a question or a conversation, a comment, and you guys are on a regular phone call, then you guys can press *6 to mute or unmute your phone. But those of you on Zoom, on the video Zoom, can use the chat option, so you can start writing your questions and comments. So again, this is Border Workers United, and I'll provide a little moment for Nora so she can introduce herself.
Hello, everybody. My name is Nora Mata, and I'm the administrator and supervisor for Border Workers United here in the RGV. And I'm happy to be here for the first time. And you're free to comment and drop any information that you guys want to, like an email from you guys, any questions or anything in the chat box, and I'll be here to answer as we go on. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nora. And well, as you can see in front of you, this is we're an organization. We have two offices, one in the RGV, which is South Deep, Texas. And by that I mean, because some people say, well, where are you from? South Texas. And they're like, oh, San Antonio or Corpus Christi. And I'm like, no, keep on going further south. So I actually live about 10 miles away from the border. And Nora actually lives maybe like 2-3 miles away from the border. Then we also have Lina, who's our community organizer here in the Valley. And then we have Melissa, who is the office manager in El Paso, and Marisol, who's the community organizer in El Paso as well. So we have two offices, and we serve our community. Quickly, we wanted to share with you some of our mission and our values. And basically, the mission is what our work has been directed by. And so Border Workers United is a community-based organization that builds worker leadership to develop a movement for workplace justice in Texas border communities. And of course, as you'll be hearing in our conversation, this is our main focus, but we do encounter these challenges and these specifics for our border towns and for our members, right? And so we value, our core values are integrity, commitment, and empowerment. This is all that embeds and embodies our work. Our main. This is a little bit sharing about the vision and objectives that we have here in the organization. But our main objective, our main vision, is to serve and defend border workers who struggle not only with against poverty, but who are unaware of their labor rights. As you'll be hearing in our conversations, a lot of our work is the simple act of showing workers what are their labor rights. And so, in order for me to explain this, then I'll start off with saying who are our workers, who are the people that we serve. So they are border workers. Most of the people that we work with are immigrants and low-income workers. That means they probably at some point either were undocumented, and maybe they had an opportunity for legal status, but they still don't know. They still haven't shifted. They're still not knowledgeable about their worker rights. So these are the two main groups of people that we work with. They have little education and are forced out of labor market and are ostracized. How we address this is that we create a movement of advocacy for their rights, and we are committed to educating the borderland workers on their worker rights, and we hold workshops to raise awareness for this purpose. precisely. Our goals. What are our goals as we're working, as we're doing this work? Is our main goals is first and foremost, the most important one, is to start conversations with workers. And by this I mean, just recently we had the opportunity. Well, a year ago I had the opportunity to send out a survey monkey because we wanted to know how the COVID was affecting the workers. And at the same time, I wanted to know what their worker situation was, right? And one of those questions in that survey was, what would, I forgot the exact words, but the question was referring to asking them what in your workplace needs to be addressed so you can have a better workplace. And most everybody said what they needed was documents, was a work permit, right? So that means that they really didn't connect some of the other labor abuses that they could be facing as part of the reason why they actually could have, how they could address those things in order for them to have a better workplace. It's regardless. The work, being workers is in a safe place, is their immigrant status is regardless, right? One of our other goals is also to build worker leadership. So as we're teaching them, as we're bringing awareness about their worker rights, we're also identifying leaders that are like, yes, this is an issue that's important to me, and I know how important it is to our community, and so I want I want to defend my rights. I want to advocate for the rights of others, and I'm gonna join in this work. So we're identifying these leaders. You hear about how we do this in the presentation, but that's what we encourage them to do. At the same time, whenever we have the opportunity, of course, we want to bring all this to media attention and recognition. And of course, further down, and I mean this, I know it's important to start conversations with policymakers, but in reality, I think that at least in our communities or the people that we work with, we're not there 100% yet. Because first, they need to be aware of their worker rights. They need to be empowered. They need to have the confidence to defend their rights. Keeping track of the time here. Okay, so we are a worker center, and like I said, we focus the services on providing services for immigrant and low income workers. These are more or less some of the industries that we've identified that are more where the workers are most vulnerable in. And our goal is for our workers to learn and use the tools of democracy to defend and protect their worker rights. But like I said, some of these workers, especially our immigrant workers, do not know that they have rights. Okay, so I'll be showing you what our campaigns are, and at the same time trying to identify at least some of the things, some of the challenges that we've been facing, right? We have a workers campaign where we like I said, we focus a lot on education. So we have on every Monday, there's 4 Mondays on the month for the most part. And so every Monday we choose a topic and we do workshops. The first Monday of the month, we do Know Your Rights. Of course, all of this is Spanish, right? Because most of our workers are Spanish speakers. Their mother tongue is Spanish. And so the first Monday is we provide workshops on Know Your Rights on the different industries. Sometimes some of these rights are very basic and general for the most part, but we try to choose a specific industry and add on a little bit of specific rights or issue, to that area. Second week is we provide services on workshops on how to look for a job, right? We start off, for example, most people look for jobs either by word of mouth or in the newspaper before. Well, now because of technology, now we're also teaching them, hey, you know what? There's Workforce Solutions. There are online websites that you can go look for a job for. So all of that, how to make a curriculum, right? How to do it, how to prepare for an interview, all that stuff. That's what we do. The third week, because again, remember that question that I was telling you about where they thought that their solution in the workplace was an immigrant status or a work permit. Well, we needed to start conversations so they can know that, or so they can identify their work issues as with these conversations. So the third week is we focus on, okay, so this industry, we're talking about, domestic workers. And so what are the problems that domestic workers face in the workplace? So that's what we do on the third week. And then the fourth week is, again, we do a lot of encouragement for leadership and activism. It's important. I believe that it is very important for us to encourage them to be active in order for them to actually defend their worker rights. So our last slide, we'll go over the slides if I can, but I think somebody was requesting if we could go back to the previous slide. So these are the list of the industries that we identified that have the most vulnerable workers. Okay, and of course, if anybody would like the power slide, please feel free to contact us. With COVID, we've identified that because it's virtual. Again, you're talking about workers that are with little education, and also little resources. Some of them don't have smartphones, and so we changed from working in person or one-to-one and having at-home workshops to now doing them virtually. Okay, and now this virtual is like, I don't know how to use the phone. I don't know how to use Zoom. What's Zoom? What all of this issues is that the workers were facing with, and we sat down with them and tried to download the apps or try to set it up for them or shared YouTube videos how to do that, and so all of this stuff. That's what we've been doing. And it's sometimes some people are like, I don't know how to do this, so they just isolate themselves, and that's a big problem because how are we going to now reach them? Now with the COVID, technology is one of the only ways. The other way that we've been doing is sending messages on the WhatsApp or phone calls, but that takes a lot more time. I was saying how we encourage them so much to be part of this revolution, and how civic engagement is the key to social justice and achieving their American dream. That's what we encourage them a lot in our workshops. It's not just learn your worker rights, but also this is why it's important for you to be involved, right? So we try to encourage that a lot. We also have another campaign where we advocate for human trafficking or against human trafficking. And one of our issues in this campaign is that victims are afraid to speak up. They're afraid of being deported. They're afraid of the accuser or the aggressor. And so we find, even though we might identify a victim, it's also hard for us to help them out or to refer them to an attorney so they can get services because they're afraid. Another one of our campaigns is economic development, where we provide, again, how one of the workshops during the second Monday is to provide workshops on job preparation. So that we do that a lot. That's how we help out with economic development. And also we advocate a lot, and we try to, at the beginning, we were trying to develop our own cooperative. So we're teaching a lot on how cooperatives, the development of cooperatives is a great opportunity for economic development and growth and activism as well. And so right now we are cooperating with two organizations. One is Las Imaginistas here in the Valley, and with Prospera, who are in California, where we're teaching them and supporting them as much as we can so they can learn what cooperatives, how cooperatives can help them out in their personal lives, but also as activism, as an opportunity for economic justice. And of course, again, throughout these workshops, like say, for example, Prospera offers an online course, right? And again, because a lot of this information that is needed for them, one of the issues is that it's limited. Sometimes we have to take the time to translate a lot of this stuff because it's not translated to Spanish. There's a lot of information out there, a lot of resources for their workers, but it needs to be translated. And again, because of this fear, because of this lack of translation, some of these workers are just isolated. They just they just stick to their families or they stick to their work, and that's it. And at their work, they don't speak up because of that same fear. So sometimes it's difficult for us to help them out because, again, they're afraid or they isolate themselves. We also have a leadership campaign where, again, as you've been hearing, we encourage them a lot for self development and also to join in our work, right? So as our mission statement states, we are an organization that builds worker leadership to develop a movement of labor justice. But in order for us to develop this movement of labor justice, first we need to build these leaders up, right? So we've encouraged them, one, through the being an advisory board. This year, since I'm new to the organization, and we've been doing a lot of development and a lot of little changes and bettering our programs. So we have identified these members right here on the blue little square to be our advisory council. And they're still developing because they don't, some of them, for example, at the very beginning, they're like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. So we provided a draft. We drafted bylaws and membership manuals, and all of that stuff has been used to encourage them. Can you guys hear me? Because I think I got one. Oh, we can't see it. I don't know how to change. Let me see. Let me try this again. So let me start this. Okay, there we go. I started it again. Okay, so as you were saying, all these little boxes are of the opportunities that members have in our organization for leadership development. And so we have the advisory board with the little blue box. We have the National Domestic Worker Alliance, who 3 of our members are part of their National Council for Domestic Workers. We also have a circle of writers where we're encouraging our workers to speak up about their history and of labor abuse, or their history or their story of migrating to the United States. And so we're doing this. We've just barely started through a Círculo de Escritoras, a circle of writers circle, so that they can start maybe in the future write a book. And that's a developing program. But again, all of this. Oh, and then we have again the first week of the month, where we also provide these leadership workshops, where I'm just trying to find different ways, different conversations to encourage them to say, you know what, like. Trying to find leaders, examples of leaders, so that they can see, you know what, if they did it, you can do it too. Or just finding different conversations so they can be inspired to be part of, to join in on this leadership campaign. Another thing is that I thought was very important is how we've explained our structure in the organization, because these groups of people, they lack the awareness of the structure of an organization. Our organization had been struggling with, explaining to them that it's not a hierarchical, pyramid organization. It's not like, oh, I'm the director and I'm the boss, or you should fear me as a director. But instead, we've been encouraging them. We've been teaching how the organizations are led by our bylaws and our policies, and that's the root. And if we follow these bylaws and these policies, our organization is going to be strong. And then we have the rest of every single item in the tree, and it makes the organization and makes it stronger. And the reason why I say this is because it is important in order for, as I've seen, for the members to come to the organization and to trust the organization and to join the work. They also need to learn all of this stuff. Again, this is about the tools of democracy. All of this, not just know your worker rights, but also trust the organization that's trying to encourage you and to lead you so that you can defend your rights, is also important. How can you help out? How can you put your faith into action? I'd really encourage you that you make donations to organizations so that they can continue their own grassroots Work. Share this, anything that you, I'm probably preaching to the choir here, but I totally encourage you guys to also, every single opportunity that you have, share all the information, articles. We also shared the link to our Facebook page. Go to our Facebook page, and not just ours, but any other organization, and share all these struggles so that other workers, so that other people in other areas in the United States or in the world can understand these struggles and what we're doing in the work. And of course, encourage you, the to join in a grassroots work organization close to you. And to start these conversations, in order for you to, hopefully you can, or maybe you are already involved in an organization close to you. But we're gonna start opening the mics, and I don't know if there's any other comments in the chat, but I would like to start conversations. Who are your most vulnerable workers in your area? How are they impacted in your area? What grassroots efforts do they need compared to our border workers? Right? You've been hearing about how our border workers, who they are, how they're affected, how we're trying to do our work, but again, our work is not as easy, as it's easier said than done because of all these little challenges, and we welcome any other related conversations or topics. So I'll also leave. We have okay. So there's three answers. Maybe Nora, would you like to share the three questions that was already asked, and maybe somebody else could maybe benefit from that?
Yeah, there's one in the chat from Aaron, and he says, "I would love to know about those opportunities as well, the opportunities that you were talking about. If there's any summer programs that we have, like monthly programs or something."
Mm-hmm. For the moment, we're encouraging, if there's anybody out there in our participants that are from an organization that is related to workers' rights, we're always looking for partnerships, for people that would like to come to present during the 4 Mondays of the when we provide the workshops. So anybody who would like to be a speaker, you're more than welcome. And then the other program is the workers centers, the writers center. But yeah, anyhow that anybody could, we provided our contact information in the chat. If anybody would like to be part of our work, we totally encourage you. And thank you so much. Let me see what else. What other questions? Any other questions that there? Let me stop sharing the screen so that you guys can see me and we can start talking. Anybody want to open up mics? Anybody have another question? Any question? How about anybody want to share what kind of workers are in your area and that you've seen, these workers, this is their struggle and this is what they might need, this is what the grassroots efforts that they might need. Anybody want to share that? Yes, we have a question from our Arumi Ortiz.
Yes, Arumi.
Arumi.
I go to university in San Antonio, Texas, and I think for us, the workers that are being affected a lot is the people that work in our cafeteria. They clean our areas and stuff like that, because a lot of our places are being closed, or like it's less people. Same with the cafeteria, has been like different hours and stuff like that. So a lot of people sadly have been let go, but the university, is trying their best to keep them, right? But it is part of our community. At least for me, like, my first time being away from home, going to the cafeteria and talking to them was kind of like talking to my tias or my tios, so it is part of our community, and that's something that, at least I think for COVID-19, has been hitting a lot.
Yes, your comment reminded me of when I was, because I'm from the Valley, right? And I went to UT Austin for my university, and the same thing that you felt is I valued so much their work, because I remember I would go to the bathroom to shower and the ladies would go in there and they'd be cleaning and I'd be like, yes, this is a familiar face and I can speak about, in my tongue, and I don't know, it just felt like family. So it is really important. Workers are not just there to work, they're people that make a difference, that and then they don't just provide a service, but they provide a community to us as well as they're providing that service. So thank you, Arumi. Arumi, that's how I love your name. I like your name.
Arumi, yes, thank you.
Arumi. Anybody else? Anybody else has a? I'm trying to figure out if there's anybody else who want to open up their mic or want to put their hands up. Any questions? Any comments? Or do you want me to call up on somebody? Where are you guys from, by the way? Yes. Loxie, yes.
Yes. Here in Iowa, we have had a lot of issues with the packing plant workers. Our governor has declared them frontline workers. Many of the plants would not pay 1 cent over 2 weeks pay, no matter how ill they were. So we had workers with COVID going back to work ill, spreading it. We've had a lot of deaths from the plants in Iowa. It's been a really bad situation. One of my colleagues that is on this presentation with me, that's been working with the labor unions, the two of us have been, and it occurred to me that with our Hispanic ministers in our diocese of Davenport, hearing what you are doing would be just terrific. And I'm wondering if you ever do virtual presentations in other areas out of your area.
Well, we started off with using Zoom for our members, but this little cool thing where we can connect or we can download the videos, recorded videos, and upload them to Facebook. So you guys are more than welcome to, if you guys either one of these days want to join our presentations, please reach out to us and we can send you the links to those presentations. And then on Facebook, we share them, we record them, and then we share them for that same purpose exactly, because sometimes maybe at this moment we're talking about worker rights for domestic workers, and if at this moment there isn't somebody, but in the future there is, we're like, hey, you guys, we already have this workshop, would you like to go see it? And if you have any further questions, please call us and we will continue the conversation. So yes, on Facebook we have those pre-recorded workshops, and every Monday we're continuing to do the same thing, so with new information, new topics. And so yes.
Thank you. I appreciate that very much.
Mm-hmm. Yes, thank you. Anybody else? Any comment? Conversations? Let me see. We have 1 more minute. I know that our session is supposed to be ended at 5:20. Juan, I don't know Juan, would you any other closing comments? He shared, I know, some of the Catholic, the link for our campaign, for the campaigns, CCHD campaigns. Anything else, Juan?
So I did share the link to CCHD in case folks are interested in CCHD. But once again, I suspect that many of you are familiar with CCHD. So I sent that link. I'll put in the chat conversation box also a couple of other links. There's a great site. It's an initiative on the part of CCHD, and it's called Poverty USA. Ton of wealth of resources and material. So that's a good resource also. And as I mentioned at in the introduction, there's also some material on the USCCB website, and I'll post that in the chat box on Fratelli Tutti. And so that might be a good resource. And I would just echo what Blanca has said. Not only taking back to our communities what from this dialogue, from this discussion, but also not many of us, but now with these virtual platforms, we can reach out even more. And it's very interesting. I'm very familiar with Loxie, who is from the Diocese of Davenport. And just to give you an example, Loxie, there's actually a workers center, workers' rights group working in South Dakota, which CCHD is supporting. And they are working on in the construction industry part of it, but also some of their members are involved in the meatpacking part of it in that area. So once again, stepping back and exactly what Blanca said, now with this virtual platform, I think we can reach out and make a lot more connections to the work that we're doing. So I would obviously, I recommend just reaching out to Blanca and Nora. And you folks have my email address, and so we can connect on anything related to CCHD, workers' rights, workers' centers in general. So.
Yes, thank you so much, everybody. If you please feel free, if you want to either join one of our presentations or make any connections, networking connections, please feel free to reach out to us. I'd totally love to also learn from what other people are doing elsewhere. You know, this is great, because if we can share something that's working for us and or something that we still make better, then we can learn from you guys as well. So, you know, thank you so much for participating in our presentation.
Thank you for all the work you do. Bye.
Thank you so much, guys. Bye bye.